welcome to Toffee TV. It is Club Call time. Your opportunity to give us a call from wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world. If you're on Toffee TV Premier, the link is at the top. So give us a call and for whatever you want to chat about, whether it be Sunday's game, whether it be Saturday's game against Spurs, who replaces Anthony Gordon in the side, as the headline says.
Exactly.
For the game against Spurs. But anything you want to have a chat about?
I mean, the reason why that's there is because that's when you look at the Everton side for the weekend. That's the one. Obviously, it's a forced change that the manager's got to make. But when you're looking at the side, is there other areas where you think other players could come out? I just don't think there is just right now, because I don't think Dom is fit enough to replace Maupay at the moment. Patterson's not back, so therefore he's not going to replace Seamus. So the only other real question mark would be, would James Garner replace someone like Idrissa Gana Gueye? I don't see that just right.
Garner replace Anthony Gordon?
Well, that's where the Gordon thing comes from. That's what I'm saying. That's why the question is. That's why the Gordon question is there, because he's the one. He's the most natural one that's needing replacing this weekend.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously, to have, because we don't have like an out fast winger to come in who's like similar to Gordon, as in the way McNeil's slightly different player, isn't he? Gets on the ball. The manager might simply just go with McNeil and keep everything as it is, but I don't know. I think the temptation might be there to get James Garner into it, just because we know the strength of the opposition. He might want to have packed the midfield, put Iwobi wide, and have a little bit more mobility central as well with James Garner and Idrissa Gueye. Yeah,
it's a interesting one, because you know it is only the one defeat, so it's you shouldn't be just throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
No.
But you know, it's a difficult game. It's a tricky game, and as we've said on numerous different shows, and you know, you've got to look at what's been at. We've dramatically changed the way we play this year, going from, you know, effectively 5 on the back in the first game and trying desperately not to concede against Chelsea, to being a little bit more expansive because 3 in midfield and because we look a little bit better at the back. So that means when you do play difficult games away from home, you might have to be a little bit you might have to change the style a little bit, because if we go at them as we are at the moment, I don't think we haven't got the firepower.
No.
So it might need a little change. It'd just be interesting to whether other people do think we need that change to just shore things up just a little bit, because Spurs are a good side.
I'll be honest, I'm leaning more to James Garner coming in rather than McNeil, and just moving As I know I've gone on all week about not moving Iwobi for the sake of it, but I just think with the energy that Spurs show as well, certainly if someone like Richarlison does play, or Session or whoever it is in those wide, I think Iwobi does work really hard. You know what he's going to do for you, and it is only a temporary thing, but I think it might give us a little bit more control in midfield as well, to have someone else in there, because ultimately formations are important to a certain extent, but if players do their jobs and they're on the pitch working hard, it doesn't really matter what you do. It just make sure tactically you are where you need to be, cutting people off. When you break formation, teams don't break in formation anyway. So, you know, like you said, if McNeil was a runner, we'd pick the ball up and travel with it, because that's what ironically, that's what we're losing with Gordon for this game.
Yeah,
is that his direct running. He's not really done it at home. His form hasn't been great at Goodison this season, but he's fared better away from home, hasn't he? He's looked better away from Goodison. It's a pity that he's not there at the weekend, because I think that's what you'd like to, ideally you'd like to spring Spurs, wouldn't you? You know, let them onto you and then try to spring them with Damari Gray and and with Gordon's not there, so it might need to be a bit more measured. And I think Iwobi's playing so well at the moment that I imagine he'd just go and play out there for you for this game and do a good job, and then you can look at it again then for Newcastle. You can switch it back then, because obviously Gordon just a 1 game ban, so Gordon will be back after that. So yeah, it could could be that.
There might just be a case of
needs
trying to
snuff
out Spurs' midfield, and just try and keep that tight and stop the ball getting to our back line a little bit, and obviously we've been doing that with 3, but maybe we might need a 4th in there this weekend.
Yeah, maybe. Gary says Hardy. Reece says think Iwobi going out there, we need someone to match Richie.
If he's involved.
I mean, he didn't.
Are we really going to worry about him over other people?
I think maybe there's just energy out there, isn't it? Energy out in that area. Yeah, I don't think you'd necessarily be making it all for all your plans about Richarlison. No, it's not going to be like that, because they've got too many of them.
Yeah, too many.
Mike B says, he's gone there. Says anyone replaces Gordon, he's garbage and should have been sold to clueless Bowley. Mate, Ted.
Big Ted. Fair play. Listen, you have gone straight in.
Mike's gone in.
2 feet.
Very much Anthony Gordon then to a challenge, like he did the other day, which is why he's not involved. The Matty Boo says yes, the lad. Soap all is well. Bit nervous for the weekend. Very tricky game on the back of such a disappointing loss. Listen, it is, Matty. It's a difficult game. Spurs are a very good side. It'd be a difficult game no matter what we had, but obviously we are a little bit thin in the top end of the pitch, aren't we, in terms of goals? And there's been improvements made. There's been improvements made. The squad is better. The team is better. They've done it kind of from the back, having these centre backs up into midfield. And the next logical thing will be in that final third, won't it? In attacking areas. But just right now, we haven't got the firepower, like you said, to go toe to toe. So that's the next challenge, I think, for Frank Lampard and Kevin Thelwell. And we have to, we might end up losing these next couple of games, but everyone's got to stay. Just stay the course. Just stay nice and calm. Let it play out. Just like you think you said on something before. Once we kind of get back past Newcastle and Spurs, Newcastle, there's a couple of games in there where we could potentially get. Well, there's 3, isn't it? There's Palace, which it'd be a tough game, but it's winnable. Fulham away, which is very winnable. Leicester at home, and Bournemouth away. So there's some. If you looked at that, there could be 8 to 10 points there that Everton should be looking at in those games, which again just gets you to the middle of the league, then, doesn't it? And then we come into the break, then, don't we? And then it's only another couple and the window opens. So these next 2 are going to be difficult, and we just got to go in and work as hard as we can and try to see what we can just grab out of them. And that's why it might be a case of patching it around a little bit at the weekend, just to see what we can come up with. Dance1211 says, afternoon, boys. Good afternoon. And Sophie says, hi, lads, we should have took the Gordon money in the summer. Apart from Dom, when all fit, our attackers are mediocre. Okay.
It's a tough one, isn't it? They decided Anthony Gordon was not for sale, and you've got to just, you have to just back that, don't you? In terms of where we are now, I think we need, I think we need more than him. I think relying on Anthony Gordon as one of your main wingers is the issue. Full stop. That we've got into a situation where he has become one of our main players. For me, that's more of a fundamental problem, and that's, he's a young lad, and you can sit here and you can have a go at his performance, and I have. So it's not that's not a thing, but it's just that the fact that we shouldn't be relying on Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon, and Dwight McNeil as our wingers. We just shouldn't. And I think that's where the problems stem from. So it's up to us now to go out and buy better wingers.
Yeah,
if
definitely.
we want to improve, if we want to move forward.
McCourt says I played Garner and have him and Iwobi interchanging throughout the game. Campbell says if you ain't on Toffee TV Premier yet, then why the hell aren't you? Nice one, Campbell. Sophie says United fans tell me Garner is going to be one hell of a player. And also says the knives will be out for Lampard and the media is as expected. We lose the next 2 games. There was an article saying who's sacked first, him or Gerrard. But take no notice, Sophie. The media thing is all a load of nonsense. You know, there's about 6 managers gone already, and it was going to be Lampard. So take no notice of it. It's bollocks. Garth Crooks proved that. And Phil said Guy should be dropped for Garner. Gives the ball away far too much. I don't think he has been. Up until, I know we give the ball away against Southampton, he scored from it. The weekend he just took his foot. He did have a terrible opening 25 minutes on Sunday, to be fair. It was the worst opening 25 minutes I think I've ever seen him have to a game. But no, I wouldn't drop Garner. I think Garner's been brilliant for us. Very important in our midfield, personally. We have got Brian. Oh, Brian. On the phone.
Go ahead. All
Right,
Brian. Yeah,
go on, mate. Can hear you, Brian.
All right. Last time I couldn't hear me last time. What a shame. Anthony Gordon. Thinking about all young kids giving too much gym time, building up muscles too young. Because they're growing into a man's body, and by putting on too much muscle, it could affect the growth patterns. I'm thinking he's playing all the time, he's playing all the games, and yet you look at someone like Foden in City, he was only a sprightly lad himself, like Gordon, but he's bulked up very quickly, and Guardiola only played him sparingly, which you criticised for, but look at him now. He's looking more than that. Gordon doesn't look natural in his body, whereas Foden is growing into his. As I think you compare with Tom Davies is quite similar, although Davies is taller. But you look at the state of Davies, especially around the thighs, they're so much thicker than they were than when he started. I'm just thinking whether by having too much gym and muscle at too early an age affects their checked, I've got a bad throat. Affects their performances.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, Brian, is it his fitness, or is it like his muscle and stuff, or is it? To me, it's more like his fitness. His fitness just doesn't seem to be on the level it should be as a professional footballer. He looks tired when he makes when he does any kind of sprint or any burst of pace. He looks tired. So yeah, he's in the. I mean, he does his own. He has done for the last couple of years. Done his own gym work and gone out and done stuff away from the club. But I think it's as I look at him and just think half the time he doesn't look fit. Like he can last the games, and I think that to me is a big problem, and I don't know whether the two sort of relate to each other, but he does seem to struggle to get through 90 minutes if he plays for 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's one thing. Not seeing him live does make a big difference because you don't see the entire pitch. You don't see what's going on outside the cameras when you're viewing from abroad. And we also noticed he's not really with it. So I'm just thinking maybe that too much gym, because kids at that age, they should be bursting with energy. They should be all over the place. You should just calm them down, position, discipline, do your job. Don't run around like headless chicken and chase the ball everywhere. Positional discipline in this level is so important. And yet, if a young lad at that age, was he 21, is getting tired after 20 minutes, then something's wrong. He's either carrying an illness or his training is completely wrong. And that means that Lampard and his team or can we say, be fair, the previous regime has allowed him to do the wrong kind of training. And maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think Carlo Ancelotti and the other fella did say
he who shall not be named.
They both basically said. I mean, Benitez basically said for a long time he couldn't play more than an hour.
Yeah.
He did say that, and I've not seen his fitness improve at all. And you're right. It's about, I suppose it's about what we're not privy to what he does at Finch Farm, and I imagine they think he's fit enough, but you do see him sometimes and you just think, why isn't he chasing after the ball, or why isn't he doing sprints? Or so yeah, it is a strange one, and you think with all the facilities that they have at Finch Farm and all the abilities to work out what his fitness is like or how it should be like, it's strange that he doesn't seem to be able to get through a game.
Yeah, he should not be blown for tugs after 20 minutes.
No.
It is weird because
even centre-halves can cope with more than that.
Well, exactly, and we've seen some young players come through Everton, haven't we, in recent times? You know, I mean, Tom Davies, whether people like him, don't like him, think he's great, think he's awful, I've never really seen him struggling to cope with the games. Ross Barkley, I don't really remember seeing him bent over, like looking like he couldn't get his breath. And Ross was up and down, wasn't he? Particularly early on in his Everton career, he was someone who was bursting, wasn't he, from one box to the other.
Indeed.
The only other one I can really remember is Delafeu, who looked like he was knackered a lot. And I loved Jerry, but that he looked like he'd go on the run and he'd be bent over.
He did have asthma.
But he had asthma,
I believe. And
has Gordon got asthma? Do we know?
I don't know. But
if he has, he needs to have a word with Yergi.
But this lack of ability to last a whole game, this must have followed him since he was a kid in that case. I mean, this must be something which is known about him. You can't get through all the age groups of the academy without playing full games.
Yeah.
No matter how few tackles fly in.
I mean, Liam says here, I don't think it's his fitness, I think it's his attitude. Is he, Brian, is there a possibility that when he's kind of bending over as if like I'm knackered, he's trying to show people that he is working hard? You know, look how hard I'm running, look how tired I am, or what? We don't know, do we? We don't know because we're not him, are we? But it was something I noticed last season that obviously there was occasions when he did look knackered, but then he'd seem to get a second wind and come on again. Yeah. But last season, he just looked to me like he worked hard.
But he was overplayed. His body he was not strong enough to play all those games in the Premier League.
Yeah, maybe.
Week after week after week of that pressure. Maybe. And then he's played the under-21s, and from the under-21s had a short break, and he's doing all this gym work, and now he's gone to a new season. Maybe his body just hasn't recuperated.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he was overplayed last season.
But they should know that, shouldn't they? Because they have all the red zones, and they all wear the bras, don't they, when they play and stuff, and all that data's there. They should know that, but yeah.
And how does he feel? How's he feeling within himself?
Yeah, well, that's the biggest one, isn't it? And then that's about him being honest, then, isn't it? That's about him saying to the manager or saying to the coaching staff or the physios or whatever, I just don't feel right in myself. I don't feel like I'm energised when I go out. You know, we've all had a game of footy, and some days
maybe the only time he does feel energised is when he does go out.
Yeah, we don't know.
And I mean out on town.
Yeah, no, I do think he is committed. You see him, his body and the work he's doing and stuff. But I just think he's, for whatever reason, just right now, it's not working. It's not working.
I think it's down to last season. I think it's growing pains.
Maybe
there's a lot to, not all of it, not all of it, but some of it.
Maybe.
He's only had, remember, one real proper season in men's football, hasn't he? A sustained season, and that was last season. You know, even the year before, he was in and around it, and then he went on loan. He didn't really play at Preston, so last season was his breakout season, if you want to call it that. So he's still very early on in his career.
One thing you both push a lot is the importance of pre-season training. Now look what he has and hasn't done. And he had a very short holiday this year.
Yeah. No, he did. He was playing, obviously, with England as well, wasn't he? And
yeah,
listen, we don't know, do we? We just hope that he gets back. My biggest gripe with Anthony Gordon right now is it's not him not playing well, because that happens to all kinds of footballers. They don't play well all the time. It's just he doesn't seem to be putting the same effort in as what he did last season, which is what we all applauded him for.
He's not doing what made him successful.
Yeah, and that's it.
And
that's.
Have we heard that before?
Of course, yeah, many times. Do something, get so far with it, and then change what you're doing, and you're never quite the same. But let's hope that he gets back to what he was doing, what made people wanna buy him in the summer. Essentially.
But there you go.
Nice one, Brian.
Cheers, Brian.
Mate.
Hope to see you soon, mate, when you come over.
Yeah, next week.
Well. But I'll try and get down for when you open the doors at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Because we've got our own do, which starts at 8 o'clock.
Okay,
there you go. Plenty of time.
There you go. Plenty of time to see you.
Obviously, I'll be going to that.
Of course.
Cheers, Brian.
All right, Brian. Take care, mate.
Ta-ra, mate.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra, mate.
Ta-ra.
Brian there, over in
Sweden.
With the reindeers.
Yeah. He loves a bit of reindeer starcade, doesn't he?
That's what has been said.
That's what he said. That's not for us to say. That's what he said. Derek says, sorry I haven't been active lately. I've seen people saying Ghana plays out wide. Not sure where that is coming from. Yeah, no, I don't either, to be fair. Mathew says, absolutely, Baz, the next couple of games are almost games I'm expecting to drop points, but it's the manner in which we lose. The United loss was the way I can accept us to lose, by not giving in. Yeah, that was if you're going to take any positives, from a defeat, and I am. I don't, I need a couple of days before I start to get over the fact we've lost. But if you're going to take any kind of positive from it, it was the fact that we did hang on in there. We did make them, De Gea's made a great save near the end. We did look like we might have nicked something at the end. That's rather than it just ebbing away. Too many times last season, the game just ebbed away and we didn't do anything. And you couldn't see us equalising. Where the other night... Can I just say this as well? I meant to mention this in the final word, and I don't even think I mentioned it on my aftermatch, but it's come back to me now, and it did at the time. How come when we're winning,
the
injury time 6 minutes in most games, and on Sunday it was 4. When there was loads of subs, players down. Southampton, nothing had happened. It was 6.5 minutes he played. West Ham was nearly 7 minutes. I thought with all the subs now, 5 subs and all that, it was 6 minutes was the norm. Awful. He was poor, that ref as well. Poor. But what can you do? Mike says we need to get off Gordon's back. He's been brilliant for us and deserves our support and respect. I think he's still got people's support and respect, but
has he been brilliant for us? Genuinely, though,
no,
he hasn't.
No,
he hasn't been brilliant for us. He's been okay.
Liam said, "When is he brilliant? He's awful." Liam,
and
I don't. He's not awful either. The truth's
somewhere in between, isn't he?
Yeah.
The truth is somewhere in between, and I think that's an important way of looking at it. And I think last season he worked really, really hard for the team, and he got himself in games, and he did work hard. But I've always had this thing of people like for me, his job is to score and create.
That's where he is on the pitch.
Exactly. And if he's not doing those two things, then I start looking at it and going, okay, well, he worked hard. Yeah, he worked hard. He might track back. Yeah, I haven't been seeing that this season. But if he's not doing those two things, then I have to look at all players like that. The position they play in, right? You have to look at them in that position.
Of course, yeah. Well, are we guilty of not having proper levels now. Do you know what I mean? When we're judging players, like, it's like, would he get in, like, Spurs team? Or, and that's probably the wrong thing because they're in the Champions League, but like higher up. With Anthony Gordon, would we look at him if he was in other teams going, he's the one we need to get? Because, and I know you can't always look at that either as a bar, but we need, where we are right now, I think you said it before and it was right, we've somehow become reliant on a lad that's just breaking into our first team. We should have better quality in front of him, and he should really be a sub and someone who's trying to get in and someone who you're putting in, playing and taking out.
I look at,
we don't have enough goals.
I look at, like, who's the kid who scored against us for Liverpool in the FA Cup?
Curtis Jones.
Right, I look at him, right? And arguably he might be better than Gordon, right? And he's nowhere near Liverpool's team because they went out and they bought players, or they've tried to buy players, or they've got players already who are just miles better, so he doesn't get anywhere near the team. And there'll be other examples of that at other clubs where you'll have decent young players coming through, but they'll have miles better talent because they need it. And that to me is where we are at the moment. And I think number one, too much has been heaped on Anthony Gordon, and then you get the flip side of it. And I think it's important to find that little bit in the middle where, like we were just saying, then it's like, I don't think he's a terrible player, but I know we could get much better than him.
He's at the start of his journey. That when you look at footballers, we've had to play Anthony Gordon because, let's be honest, we didn't have any other options really, right? He got in because Damari Gray was up and down and then got injured. Andros Townsend was up and down, wasn't he? Richarlison was injured a lot, and Don was injured. If everybody would have been fit, Anthony Gordon mightn't have got the games he got. That's just a fact, right? We'll benefit and he'll benefit from it because he's got a lot of Premier League experience now, and it's helped him, and he did improve last season. He's not the finished article. How good can he be? I don't know. Probably how good he wants to be. Work. But ultimately, you see, the way I looked at him last season was he's quite direct, bright and direct when he runs with the ball. He got a lot stronger last season, whereas when we'd seen him before, he was... Remember that Sheffield United game he played away when we won 1-0, but he was poor. I think it was over Christmas, don't know whether it was Boxing Day or... Boxing Day it might have been Gylfi scored. We won 1-0, didn't we? Under Carlo, and he played for about 4, and he was really poor. Carlo took him off. He just was getting shoved off the ball. And then last season he looked like he could really affect games. But I still looked at him and thought, well, you've now got to add the other stuff. And the other stuff is creating goals for people and scoring goals from when you're in that position. And experience will make you better. Got to know when to put a ball in the box and when not to. You can't always want to come inside. Yeah, you can't, because you've got to make defenders not know what you're going to do next. If you're always Ped picks the ball up on his right foot, he runs down the line, crosses it. Like, well, I know that I just have to force you back onto your left foot. Then, if I don't know which way you're going to go, right or left, makes my job harder. Anthony Gordon makes it too easy for. In my opinion, at times makes it, and he's up against. Don't get me wrong, he's up against really good defenders. It isn't as easy as just that, but he has to work on that. Then his decision making. He's got a lot of the basics there. It's like if you work hard and you keep improving, you become better and better. This season, the hard work doesn't seem to be there right now. So I don't know why. Why is that? That's the problem.
And you'll have to go back to that, and that's got to be like,
that's almost like your baseline.
That's you start where you start from, isn't it? You get involved in games, you work hard, and then you add the other little bits to it, and that's not there. But
I still think on the other side, when people say like he's awful, he's not awful at all. He's not awful at all. He just needs to do more. That's it. And by more, when you're in that final third, you have to affect the game. The other day against United, if we're just taking that one game in isolation. He played 60 minutes. He had one cross. It was the only thing he did in the final third. It was the only thing. No shots. No other crosses, no other balls into the box. One cross in the whole game, and he didn't complete it. He put it in the Bullens Road from the other side of the pitch. That was it in an hour. Now, in a game where we knew that we had to be clinical in that final third, Damari Gray, by contrast, had 11 attempts at crosses. I think he only completed about 5 of them, but he had 11 crosses. He had X amount of take-ons. He had balls into that. I think he had three chances created, or he was involved in that. Even though he didn't have a great game, Damari Gray, he was a threat. Shots, I think he had 2 shots. Anthony Gordon's not done any of that on the other side. And so that's how we have to look. And if we'd have managed to get Mohamed Kudus in, or we'd have managed, if Shakhtar would have accepted that £26 million bid for Mudryk, they'd be in. And Anthony Gordon would probably be sub. And that might be the right kind of thing for him, where he's battling to get in and out the side, and he can come out for a few games and really, Brian mentioned Phil Foden there, who's obviously at a different level, but he mentioned Phil Foden, and the thing what Man City being able to do with Phil Foden is put him in for a few and take him out for a few, and put him in for a few and take him out for a few. Give him 15 minutes here, next game he doesn't play, the game after he does an hour, then he's back out the side. Now, they're a better team, of course, they're going to get more chances. It's easier to put one player in than what it is for us, but that's all part of a player's development. We've gone the other way with we've got to put all our eggs in one basket with Anthony Gordon. He's got to play. Yeah, because we're desperate now for someone. Yeah, but it's not helping him.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is helping him, because you need to have times when players go in the team and out the team, and they will have bad moments. It's how you deal with those bad moments, and when you can leave a player out. And at the moment, we're going to have to leave him out on Saturday. It's enforced, but you're right. But you said before, he's come back, and there's something just not quite right about how he's come back from where he was last season. There's just something just not quite there, and it's something. Yeah, it's something.
Got to get to the bottom of it. Yeah, whichever way that is, it might be him just saying, it's not working at the moment. It just can't. It's just not there. Could be he doesn't feel great. It could be a bit of the training. Brian might be right. He might have to tweak the training. I don't know. Steve P says, you think it's a physical or mental issue with Gordon at the moment? I can't get my head around it, because last season he was sprinting around and pressing for about 60 minutes, then he would gas out, which I could understand. But now it's like he's just walking around the pitch and acting like he's out of breath after one sprint. That doesn't make sense to me. If he's sulking about not getting a move, then that's really disappointing, because look at what Richarlison and Garner did when they wanted to move. Those two clearly had outgrown us, when I genuinely don't even think Gordon is good enough to be starting for us. Whether he leaves or not, we need to upgrade the wingers anyway. Some good points in there.
Yeah,
I don't buy into the move.
Yeah, I don't really
personally.
I don't really ever like sort of the excuse when someone hasn't gone through with a move or something hasn't happened. Everton have got to look at it and find a way of getting the best out of him when he's back on Wednesday. But also, do you know what? It might just come down to the simple fact that he just mightn't be good enough. He just might not be good enough. He might, for what we want, he might just not be good enough. He might not have the attributes that we think we need, which is someone who can run at pace with the ball, create chances and score goals.
I slightly disagree with that, because when I look at the tools he's got, I think he is good enough. It's whether he can. Where I will kind of agree with you is, you've got to look at it. Can he put it all together consistently? That's the thing. We've got it on one side with Damari Gray. Damari Gray quite clearly has the lot. He's quick. He can beat a man. He can travel brilliantly with the ball. Occasionally put the ball in the net. The problem got with Damari Gray is there's no consistency. You can't get anywhere with. And if you've got that on the other side, you've got no consistency on either side of the pitch, then you're never going to get anywhere anyway. We've just had a fella who played off the left for us or through the middle. He got double figures every single season. And a lot of us were critical of him. He needed to do a little bit more because we felt there was a bit more in there. If you'd have put him in, and we're seeing it now with Spurs, where the pressure isn't quite the same on him because he's got a world-class centre-forward and another world-class player on the opposite side to him, or another tremendous player in Kulusevski coming in. All of a sudden, the need for him to be the one that gets all the goals disappears, and he just becomes a really good player. The problem Everton have got is we've only ever got one of those players, it seems, at the time. When we had him and Dom, if we could have added one more, it would have made a big difference. And we kind of thought we had it with James, didn't we? But there was other bits that weren't quite right, and we weren't there as a crowd and all.
I think a good way to look at it is for Gordon is what he's replaced. And I look at Richarlison, who he's essentially replaced, and I look at Richarlison from the day he came. I look at the Richarlison who when he was at Watford. I don't see Anthony Gordon.
But Gordon could still get double figures, couldn't he? He's got 2 already. He could end up with double figures.
He won't
this
get double
season.
figures.
I know, but I'm saying he could. He got 4 last year. He could easily get double figures.
But the point being is that
then we go, well, he's replaced them goals.
But what I mean
But
is, though, he just
stuff.
doesn't have the energy.
No.
Doesn't have the energy of a Richarlison. He hasn't got... See, this is the thing. I think this is the whole point of it. He's a very static player when he hasn't got the ball. Richarlison was always busy, always keeping himself in the game, always getting back and defending, naturally a fighter. I don't see that with Anthony Gordon, so therefore he only comes alive when he gets the ball.
Do you think
if he doesn't get the ball, then
what's he doing?
Yeah.
Do you think it might be better off just playing on the right? I know we start, and that's where he put that cross, which was ridiculous.
I don't think it make a difference.
No,
because I look at him, and if he's waiting for the team to get him into the game, he's going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, he really is. Yeah. I think it's up to him to embrace. Look at it from the outside and think, right, start again. I'm not trying to prove myself. I'm not trying to get myself into the team. I'm trying to help the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be its own motivation, surely. So,
yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Paul Brady says Gordon's played a lot, but I just think half of his head is still in Chelsea. Could be just putting the minimum in because he doesn't want to be there. But I understand it. I understand your point, Paul. But wouldn't it be better for him if that was the case to do what made Chelsea attracted to him, so that momentum builds again for January? Because I think Everton would be very willing to sell him in January early on, which would give them enough time to replace him. So wouldn't it be better for him to get that ball, especially if we come up the other week and said he wanted to go to the World Cup? You ain't going to the World Cup playing the way you did the other night.
No.
So something's got to be there. Stephen says I fancy a draw at Spurs. A draw at least at Spurs. Fair play. EFC Graham says if he wasn't English, would these top clubs be after him? I don't know. He did create a lot of hype, didn't he? And a lot of it was basically running around like a loon, wasn't it? And getting it was though, wasn't it? But we needed that, didn't we? We needed that thing of
starting point.
He
though,
was the starting point. And I've seen someone said this to me, and I don't know whether there's any validation in this, right? But they said the bar was so low last season that he stood out a mile. This season, the bar's gone up because there's lots of players who were looking like they're way better, and all of a sudden he doesn't stand out in the slightest. Could it be that he's at a similar level, but everybody else is better, or is it a case of he has just dropped his level?
I think he's definitely not kicked on.
No,
as the team is trying to.
Yeah. Danny Mead says if fit, would you play Townsend ahead of Gordon? I think you would sometimes, wouldn't you? Certainly for an hour, wouldn't you? Because you think, well, Andros Townsend's going to work hard because that's what he does. Runs up and down, doesn't he? Make sure he's in, tries to get in the game. He's got a goal in him. And then Anthony Gordon would be the the half an hour super sub, wouldn't he? The impact sub. You know, when the game's maybe getting a little bit slower, and the next minute his explosiveness comes onto the pitch, which is exactly how I would have used him against United. He wouldn't have started for me, not at all. But we'll see. Jake says we should have sold Gordon and got Traore in the summer. Interesting one. Georgie says, ain't got a clue on this stuff, but when companies like Google offer Spurs 100 million for naming rights, what do they actually get out of it? Because surely they don't earn that back from people wanting to use their search engine.
Well, they do, don't they? I mean, that's the point. They do get it back because
it's advertising, isn't it? It's advertising.
Don't forget.
You can write some of that off as well.
Don't forget, every time someone says the game from the Google Stadium, that's advertising. And if it's an NFL stadium as well, and that's huge. You know, what have they had something like 3 or 4 games there recently, or something like that? And if they have 3, if the ultimate aim for the NFL is to have a team in London that will play at Spurs Stadium. That's the ultimate goal. So, and Spurs, that's the ultimate goal because they'll have a game on every other weekend.
Yeah.
For 4 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And because it's a different pitch, it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And if for 4 months out the year, NFL, which is just the biggest game in America, it's huge, is live. I mean, the novelty factor of a London team, added to how good the stadium is, added to, the Premier League as well. It's double bubble. If you're Google or any big company and you're going, you're getting Premier League, NFL. That's unbelievable.
It's a huge market, isn't it?
It's 2 markets, 2 of the biggest markets in the world, and you're coming live from that stadium, and it's being mentioned, every week there'd be a game on in that stadium between September and January. That's nuts. That is nuts. And of course, you mightn't sort of be able to tally up how it works, but it must work. It must work, mustn't it? And we're also used to now you don't even think about it. Yeah. The Etihad Stadium, the Emirates. You don't even think about what you're saying. And
we still call the Echo. The
M&S Bank Arena. It's huge. It's an absolute huge thing, and it's not just monetary value. It's of the advertising. It's the prestige behind it as well.
Wayne says our 7 players, if you include Townsend for the front 3 positions, cost about 35 million. I expect there'll be a new front 3 this time next season. Gordon and maybe Dom gone. When you look at it like that, Wayne, you can see why we are light up there. It's the Damari Gray thing was an anomaly, wasn't it? Really, 1.5 million for him. When players go for 15 million out the Championship, it was crap. Damari Gray is a good player. He is a good player. I know he's frustrating, but he is a good player. So is an anomaly, isn't it? But 35 million, Manchester United's winger cost 3 times that almost. Who scored on Sunday? You've got Ronaldo in there for them. Martial was 36 million, wasn't he? You're looking at Marcus Rashford come through fine. Sancho, 90 odd million, was in that squad. So when you're looking at clubs like that, I mean, Spurs have got Kulusevski, he's going to sign at the end of the season, isn't he? But he's about 30 odd million. Richarlison, 60 million. Son, whatever he was, but he's been there for years. A lot of these clubs have spent money in those areas because that's the key areas, isn't it? That's the place that wins you the games. Your centre forwards, your wide players are the ones who open games up and wing it. So they cost money. And for Everton's positions up there to have cost hardly anything in them front areas, you know what you're going to get then. You're not getting tons of goals. So Everton's side, if you were constructing an Everton side, now forget about names, forget about Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray and these kind of players, Dom, whoever. If you were building that Everton side, And you went, right, goalkeeper, yeah, sound. The defenders, we've got good number of centre-backs who are good. We've got solid left-back. We've got a really promising right-back. And we've got cover there, so that's okay. The midfield, we've got very strong in the centre of the park now. So yeah, we're okay. Like, we're into the front areas. What would be the ideal way to construct that? Now, if that was me, I'd be going, right, I want 2 wide players that can get double figures. And then I want a centre forward in the middle who can get 15 plus. And that would be how I would construct that team. So my 2 wide players, and then I'd want subs of wide players who can score goals. So all my focus would be, like, how many goals can he get from a wide area? What's his run? Now, it's no good looking at a player going, Adama Traore, pacey, powerful, baby oiled up to the hilt. You go, how many goals does he get this season? 1, 2, like, no. I know he might, in certain games, he might be a handful and teams can't cope with him. But generally, is he getting me 10 goals? No, right, I'm not interested. You'd look around. There's players all over Europe, not even in England, all over Europe, who play in those wide areas who can get you goals. If you're used to scoring 10, 12, 15, 20 goals a season, you're used to scoring goals. Don't come to England and then not know how to score goals. Now, quite clearly, it's not as simple as that, because you've got to have the physique to cope in this country. You've got to have the pace. But that's how everyone should. That's how we need to construct our team, don't we? Can't have a front three that don't score.
We'd kill for a player like Kevin Morales now, wouldn't we?
Yeah, there's one, right? There's one now. I still think we can get better. I mean, Terrier in France.
Kevin Morales scored
30 goals.
9 to 12 goals every season.
Did he?
Most of the time he got.
I'll have to check that.
Okay,
but he did score goals. No, he did score goals. Morales did, and we go. He's not good.
Let's say he got 8.
Yeah,
a season.
8. If you're getting 8, like Maupai, we're going, I should go back up 8 to 10. Yeah, okay, he is on the bench. He should go back up. Is he good enough to start? Not really. Not ideally how you would want it. Do you know what I mean? And that Everton have got to look at players who, like, there he is, Morales. Like 9, 8, 11, 6, and then 4.
All right,
and then none. Right,
so for the first,
but don't forget the last couple of seasons, he spat the dummy because he thought he was going to Spurs, didn't he? And it didn't happen. But yeah, he had goals in him, and that's fine. But we should have 2 Kevin Morales.
That's what I'm saying.
Shouldn't we? And then we should have another 2 on the other side. That when you're building a team, that's how it can be. That is how it has to be. You've got to take a chance on these players. You've got to look and go, this kid gets a lot of goals. Let's go and try and get him in. Now, some of them you will be priced out for. Everton did try to get Mohamed Kudus, who was at a tremendous start. They inquired about Cody Gakpo, who's had 11 goals and 9 assists already. Right? Now, it's Holland. So you go, well, not quite the same, lads, is it? And you go, no, it's not. But if Cody Gakpo ends up with 20 goals, and then you factor that into England, and you say, well, we'll cut it in half then, it's double figures. And if Everton have got a wide man getting 10 goals, and they've got the fella on the other side getting 8 and 10, and you've got a centre forward getting 12 to 15, if not more, all of a sudden, what you're doing at this end of the pitch in terms of keeping it tight and your midfield, you've got real threat on a breakaway. You're finishing top 8. You really are. Doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. If you've got you're tight at one end and you've got goals in your team, you're finishing near the top, and it's as simple as that. Don't
forget, you can still give us a call if you want to get involved in the show. Like Brian did.
Brian started it early, and make sure you subscribe as well. We're 16 away from 60.
Check out the 1878 podcast as well.
That's just gone out, the 1878 podcast.
It's going on, literally in
8 minutes it'll be available, so check that out, me Ped and Dave Fitty. Make sure you hit the like button as well if you're watching. Just do it while you're there, just a little thing like that, bang, you've done your job. But yeah, we'll still, that's what I would be looking for if I was constructing. If If you would construct it differently, let me know in the comments. But I think that's what we look. Surely we have to be looking for players who can get us goals from other areas. Because we just don't have the goals in the team. We just don't have it. Let's have a little look here. Jake says, was watching highlights from the October 97 derby and saw a DJ Spuddles advertisement.
Oh, I mean, why on earth you were watching that? But that's fine.
Wasn't that 0-0 that one?
I don't know.
Bakayoko, was that 97? Sure, that was the 97. Don't forget, there's a match preview as well. That'll be going on as well. Spurs versus Everton. It's on Premier. So that, but it'll be on YouTube only tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So check that out.
5:30 tomorrow.
Diaby, Crazy Toffee says, well, Moussa Diaby was one who we could have got, and would have been fantastic for us, and then we could have got him. He'd have been brilliant, and then he's one who you can make big money off if you don't go where you need to go and where you want to go. EFC Graham says Premier League defenders quickly learn how players play after the first season, and unless they're exceptional, they know how to deal with them. Yeah, but you got to come up with other ways, haven't you? Or simplify your game.
Can I? I mean, for someone who's part of a channel, has been part of a channel for a long time, part of it. Is it? I mean, how? When can we start criticising people? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, on Sunday, right? I thought Anthony Gordon was like diabolically bad, like disinterested and really, really bad. And I'd have dragged him off at half time. I thought he was shocking, genuinely. But when can you be that critical? Are you allowed to be that critical? At what point? I know there's this thing, and I've seen it of, we love to jump on the back of our young players. I'll jump on the back of any player. I'm not asked. Don't get me. If someone doesn't play well and works the bollocks off, then I'll give allowances. But at what point can you sort of criticize people? Because we all love to see young players come into the team, and I know there's different varying levels of this. It's just that. When can you say? When are you allowed to sort of say, I'm not sure this lad is good enough, or he's good enough to a point?
Yeah,
I just.
No,
see,
that's okay.
You know what I mean?
But I understand the point, but I still think he's demonstrated. I think there's enough in the bank there to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think you've got to accept with young players. There's peaks and troughs with them as well. Football's difficult. But you're trying to do your thing. I'm trying to do my thing. You're trying to stop me doing my thing. If I'm not feeling, some days you go and play football. Okay, right? Your biorhythms are all over the place. You're just not there for whatever reason. You're trying. Everton had about 8 of them the other night, by the way. In the United game, they were all off it. Now they all can't. Why are they all off it? Why are they out? What's happening there? He's just okay. Well, it's not just Anthony Gordon. There's
no. Let me rephrase it, and I'm just being provocative here. Does Anthony Gordon have enough in the bank? Genuinely have enough in the bank?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's fine.
Don't get me wrong. This is not me saying he's brilliant, by the way, either. He needs to do more, but I thought he did. He was good for us last season, and we needed him to be. But by the same token, is his form right now good enough to keep him in the team? Well, no, not right now. And that's on the manager then. The manager's got to make them decisions. I said all last week I wouldn't have brought him. I wasn't in favour of bringing him back in for the United game. He should have been sub for me. And he'd have been probably available now this weekend if he would have been. Because I felt Dwight McNeil deserved that opportunity to build on his goal. He's certainly going to work hard, and anyone watching this knows that. I'm not saying Dwight McNeil's amazing either, but I think sometimes you've got to give players that reward sometimes where they've come up with something that might lift them now. You've got to go, you know what, you deserve another goal this week because you've got us out of trouble there with that goal. And he worked hard at Southampton. He wasn't great, but he worked hard. And for Anthony Gordon, it'd have been a case of, listen, he took his chance last week. So, you know, when you get yours tonight, when you come on and get us a goal or get on and whatever. And he didn't do that, Frank. He went with Gordon and then Anthony didn't have a very good game. But I wouldn't say he's got enough in the bank to continue to do that.
Yeah.
But I just think right now, I think it is early in the season. I think away he's been better than he has been at home. But I don't think he's not someone who I would continue to play if his form wasn't there, because you're thinking he'll get us a goal out, because he doesn't. But just right now. Where are we? AG says Spurs and Newcastle are going to rip us to shreds. Okay, they both have fast forwards and are lethal in front of goal. Gutted about Terry Mathew and Diaby going to Newcastle in January. I don't think Terry Mathew's going to Newcastle in January, but Diaby may well be. But they're looking at what they need, aren't they, and are going after it. I don't know whether he could afford both of them with FFP. I don't know where they are. I've seen some of the stuff, and they would cost 100 million. It's why they couldn't get the RB in the summer. They'd have to sell first, so we'll see what happens. Where are we? Yeah, Pratham says Everton should target Tony, and Jake says Tony's never signing for us. No. His mum got racially abused at Goodison. He ain't coming here. Same as Les Ferdinand, and that's what people have to consider when you know. You show. Well,
you shouldn't have to consider that. You just shouldn't be a tit.
No, well, I'm saying people, you know, who want them, you know, you're saying things like that. It's a berserk, isn't it? Newcastle selling every advertising board around their pitch to different Saudi businesses for 30 million. They can't, though. It's not legal. So it's not. Forget what Newcastle do on these mad stories, because you're not allowed to do it the same as we aren't allowed to do it. Where are we here? Chuck Weezy, someone who mentions, yeah. Scintillating Skills says, do you guys think we went for Maupay instead of a foreign striker because they think it's safer, as he's Premier League proven? PL tax too, which is bad, too small, not fast enough for my liking. I think absolutely they went for Maupay because he's safe. I think what they're trying, it's that you get caught sometimes between you're trying to get enough time in the job to be able to affect the job, and sometimes you go, well, hang on, I need someone who I know what I'm going to get from them, because we need to reach a certain amount of points or a certain level of performance so that we get enough time to build on it. I think right now that's what Frank was doing. I think as we move forward, we've seen some of the links to the players. They're much better than we've been linked with. I think you'll see Everton going for different targets, ones that we're happier with.
Right, we've got Glenn on the line. Glenn, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Go on, Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn.
Can hear you.
Off you go, mate.
Yes. Yeah, long time listener, first time caller. Just want to say hi.
Hello.
Loving your work.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you guys, after that loss, a lot of people were throwing the toys out the pram. For me, I think, we've seen very good progress this season. The beginning of the season, I always do this bet with a load of my mates: who's going to win the league, who's going to get Europe, who's going to be top scorer. A lot of people would say Everton were going to get relegated. Not for me. But I'm just asking you, where do you think we're going to finish? Because if I look at the odds now on certain sports sites, I'd say we're going to finish around 13th. Would you be happy with that? Do you think we're going to do better? Is that reasonable based on where we were last season?
I think Everton will finish anywhere between 10th and 14th. I think. If depending on January business, if we could get someone in with more goals in them, then we could, we potentially could be looking at that top half. You never know. But I think we're more durable than we were last season. I think we're a tougher side, and that naturally gets you about halfway. And if we stay, I said it right at the start, Glenn, if we do this season with no drama and we're all pretty comfortable, then I think that's okay for this season, and then we try to build again for next season. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I think we tried to do too much too soon when we got money. I think a lot of lottery winners go broke after a couple of years, and we we probably did the same thing. But if we can just learn from our mistakes and small incremental gains, then maybe in a few seasons' time we can start getting even more excited than we are now. But I think I'm fully behind Frank. I think you guys both are, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's your thing with where we
Yeah,
can finish and what?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, got to be careful what I say here. The Frank, like, I'm not like Frank super fan, and just like what I mean by that is there's a temptation to be like too overboard, and then what happens is you get stung. I am behind Frank in terms of I want him to do a good job and everything, but I'm just letting him do the job. I think there's a we spoke about this last week. There's this thing of going over the top about what you want, and then when the club or a player or a manager doesn't hit your expectation, you then start criticising those people for not matching your expectations. And I think that's what we're sort of driving at with Anthony Gordon as well. It's like if we could lower the expectations, then people don't go over the board. And that's sort of where I am with Frank. I'm like, let him do his job, let him get on with it, and we'll see what happens, because no one can do the job in the short term anyway unless they're given time, so you have to do that. I think the same. I think it's about we will get it's funny because I think a lot of people said at the beginning of the season, if we finish 12th and we've got an upward trajectory, we'll be fine. Well, if you finish 12th, you're going to lose a lot of games. Ultimately, you're going to lose a lot of games. So if we could actually just, you think about it, if we could almost just carry on with what if we lost 3 games every 9, that wouldn't be a terrible season, and we'd be all right. And that's where I am. It's like you're gonna lose games, but when we lose them, don't go overboard. When we win games, just enjoy it, but don't go overboard. And it's just that's I'm the same as Baz. I think we'll finish hopefully the top of the bottom half, and hopefully there's no massive dramas, and hopefully we see players develop, and hopefully we see a team develop. For me, it is just that thing of if people just keep their expectations in check and don't think. I'm not going to call anyone out personal, but when I see things on social media after we've won a game, comparing our midfield 3 to like Barcelona's midfield 3 and all this stuff, I just cringe. I just absolutely cringe, because it's just, where are you putting your expectations? If the next game Ghana, like we saw at the weekend, Ghana does something poor, or Iwobi loses the ball, are they suddenly the worst? Are these suddenly the worst players in the world? So, for me, it's about keeping your expectations in check, knowing that last season it was one of the worst seasons ever for a lot of people, and understanding that there's going to be ups and downs. And if we lose a couple on the row, even if we lose 3 in a row, it's the manner we lose them in rather than the fact that we've lost them. We will lose games, but we'll also win games, and hopefully we know what we need. We need forwards, wingers, and hopefully when we get to January, maybe we'll be able to do something. And let's just not jump to any mad sort of expectations or anything as we go forward.
What's a realistic expectation then for January? So, do we have to get rid of Amina to get in a very good attacking winger that's better than what we've already got, or can we get something, add something, or is the squad then too big? What's your realistic expectation for January?
I don't think the squad's too big, because I think there's definitely dead weight to get rid of. I think the likes of, and when I say dead weight, I mean you've got to come to a point, and this is where we haven't been for years. You've got to come to a point where there's players who naturally drop off. So Amina might be this summer, or even might be January, and Michael Keane. There has to be a circle, doesn't it, of like, and this is what other teams are struggling with at the moment. There has to be a point where you say, you're finished and we're replacing you with a younger player, and there's a circle of players. And I think there's a case of Michael Keane, Yerry Mina, could even be Seamus Coleman at the end of the season if we could get another right back in. We've seen obviously loads of the midfielders go as new ones have come in. Andros Townsend, Rondon, they could naturally leave at the end of the season or even January. And I think if you're replacing those players with better players, I think what the problem has been the last few years is we've just collected players, and it's stopped young players coming through better players coming through from the outside, and I think we have to get into the habit of just naturally players leaving the club and new ones coming in, and we've seen that this summer. Luckily, we have seen new, young, fresh players come in, and hopefully that more come in. Baz?
No, I'm kind of there as well. I don't think the squad's too big. I think you'd have to look at what's what. We have to look at, we could see Michael Keane and Yerry Mina move on in January, quite easily, because we've got Reece Welch there and Seamus can play centre back, and we'll have hopefully Mason Holgate to be fit and Ben Godfrey. So you're still with 4 and Welsh 5. And Everton might just get opportunities to move those 2 players out. But even if they didn't, I think Everton were trying to get a winger and a forward in the summer, and it didn't happen for whatever reason. But I think if you look at our front 3 and what our options are available, there's not many goals in it apart from Dom, and so the expectation has got to be that we bring in at least another wide player who's pacey. I think what you might see is, I've been banking on about another centre forward. What you might see is a younger centre forward who they can develop. I was saying in the summer, Rasmus Højlund, who I thought we should have gone for. He went to Atlanta for 17 million euros, I think, but he's a work in progress. But I think he's got 1 in 5 for Atlanta, but he's 19. But I think Everton might be looking in that market. Terem Moffy's one we should have got. We can probably still buy if we really wanted to in January, 15, 18 million. But I think what Everton might be looking for is a winger who is quick and can get goals, and then maybe an 18, 19-year-old centre forward who they can develop a little bit. And then I think Rondon would probably go out the door then if they got that as well. So that's probably where they should be looking. They definitely need a forward in January, definitely. And by that I mean a forward player, because I just don't think there's enough in that squad right now to do what they'll want to do this season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there you go, Glenn. Hope
Cheers,
that's answered your questions.
Awesome. Yeah, there you go. I didn't ask a ped-only question.
No,
so
good man.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Well, you can ask those kind of questions. Just open them up. Be more progressive in your question asking. More inclusive.
I will do.
Cheers, Glenn. Cheers, Glenn.
Nice one, Glenn. Mate. Bye.
There you go.
Bainey says, I do think it's to do with Gordon's attitude this season. He's not the main man, as he pretty much was last season. He's had to go with Patterson and made himself look like an idiot. Maybe his head has grown with the interest in the transfer window. He needs to knuckle down, work hard and get on with it. He was a while back being accused of being lazy when he was a youth player. Brian says at the moment Gordon is not great or terrible. Just a smashing orangey bit in the middle, but he may be the answer, but we can't wait about for him or anyone else. Roll on, that's right. Terry says, evening lads, looking forward to the Premier night loads, but I'm gonna have to pace myself and take it easy on the ale, because I've got an appointment the next day that I have to be fresh for. I've applied to be a member of the Everton Dar Society and I've been accepted, and the appointment is a scan to see if I'll be buying boy kits or girl kits down from next season. Congratulations, Tezza. So
which Terry's that?
Terry Mack.
TalkSport
says.
My God.
TalkSport says.
My God.
He's not been on TalkSport lately. He's been doing other stuff, apparently. Is right, Tez. I'm glad we'll see you next week, mate.
Small talk.
Hey, what's Terry? Wayne says, slightly disagree about Gray Bass. That's fine. I think his touch isn't great. I think he's got a good touch if you watch him, honestly. Or his decision making. I did say his decision making wasn't great. That is the thing with him. He's never scored a lot of goals. No. He tends to stand up the fullback and goes onto his right foot and shoot all the time. Okay. Long term, we can't have our wide forwards getting less than 10 goals. No, that's what I said, didn't I? I said if I was constructing a team, you need one to get double figures. The other one's got to get pushing towards double figures, and you need a centre forward in the middle who can get more like 10, 15, 12, 18 kind of goals. You need that front three need to be getting 35 between them, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
That any team that wants to do all right, that's what it's got to be. And then your midfield have to get 5s and 6s each. Your centre backs have to get 3. The best teams get those kind of goals, don't they? Get those numbers, and you should be aiming towards that. Dick L says, Gordon looked better in a poor team last season, but struggles to look good. So now that the team is so much better, you do realise after 9 games last season, we had 15 points to 10. We won the first 4 games, didn't we, last season, Dick?
No.
Didn't we?
No, we won.
Oh no, we had 10 points after 12, didn't we? And we had 13 out of 15.
Well, how many points did they say we had?
We had 15
No,
points.
we didn't. We didn't have 15
we
points.
might have done.
No, we didn't have 15 points because we didn't. We had. Hang on.
I don't know, mate. We might
Oh,
have
hang
done.
on.
We had,
yeah, we did.
We had
But
13.
we didn't get.
We had 13 points
Yeah, we
out
did.
of 15.
Hang on. No, we got. Hang on. We got. Hang on. When was the Spurs game?
November.
Yeah. That's when
November
we got our
7th.
That's when we got our 15th point. Because
Was it? So we had 14.
because we got 14 at Man United, 15 at Spurs, 18 after Arsenal, 19 after Chelsea. So
the question is, when we get to the turn of the year, will we have more than 19 points? Frank come in, we had 19 points, didn't we? It was 19 points, wasn't it, when Frank come in?
we had 19.
So 19 points.
We got our 19 points against Chelsea.
Yeah, so we went into the 20s in February. So let's see if he gets into the 20s before February, Dick. Then your argument will stand up, because right now it doesn't stand up anyway. And he may unconvinced the team is actually better. Well, that's up to you. If your eyes aren't telling you that we are better, then I don't know what to tell you, Dick, honestly. Let's see where we are after trip to Newcastle and Spurs. Why? Let's see if we go with 1 win in 14. Then we'll have a discussion about who had the better team. Let's do it that way. That's, for me, is a better way. We just lost our first game in October, and the last time we lost was August the 13th. So let's have a little chat when we win 1 in 14 games, and then I'll concede that maybe we were a bit better with Benitez. You've had a thing with Frank ever since he walked in the door.
Ultimately, we did have a better start last season because we
also had Richarlison.
We had goal
Dom.
scorers. We had Dom and Richarlison. We had Dom for the first 3 games. He scored in all 3.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we got 7 points out of those, and then
we had Richarlison for Burnley, which we won. So we had 10 out of 12. Then we lost Ritchie, and then we hardly won. Yeah. So Frank hasn't had either of them, and yet we're halfway up. So let's see where. Yeah,
we are. We know what our problems are. That we haven't got any goal scorers. That's our problem. We get Dom back, and then there's a piece of the puzzle back, but we're definitely better than we were.
Well, mate, I'm not
last
being
season.
funny. I'm not being funny. A newborn baby could tell you we're better than we were last season. So I'm just not. You don't like Frank, and there's a million comments from you which would back up that statement that you're not Frank's biggest fan. No issue with that, Dick. No issue with that. I'm not telling you to like him, think he's good, whatever. It's your choice. But let's not try to rewrite the facts. Everton are so much better than they were last season, like so much better. Sunday was really poor performance by Everton, and yet it wasn't even in the worst 10 games under Benitez level last season. So come on. Steve says, are you onto the Brazilian Tete? He plays for Lyon, left-footed right winger on loan from Shakhtar. Looks really good. 5 goals, 2 assists in 10 games. We were linked with them last year. Sure, Andy has mentioned him a few times. Gary says, everyone has a bad day now and then. I'll still be critical of Gordon because I think he's so much capable of so much better. Yeah, well, you can be critical of someone's performance without being critical of them and going, the crap, get rid of him and all that. There's too much of that, I think, with that. But that then doesn't mean that, you know, he's amazing. When people sometimes defend players so much the other way as well, though, like where they're overhyped. Anthony Gordon is a promising young footballer. You watch him for England under 21s the other week, set 2 goals, look really strong and quick, but it's not translating back into the Premier League. So it's either us, the way we're playing him, or it's him. So he's got to step up, absolutely. Ruben de Souza says, does Coleman stay 90 minutes against pacey wingers, or does Iwobi Garner happen again in the second half like it did on Sunday?
I think, yeah, you just have to be prepared, don't you, for what it is, and you have to look at it, because yeah.
Tough,
It's going to be interesting with Mason Holgate coming back, whether the manager might go, you know what, I might put him in at right back and be a little bit more defensively minded. But you know, Seamus is a good defender. It's has he got the legs still to keep up with people? I'll be honest. One of my things with Seamus is at times is I think sometimes he plays and he completely forgets his age. And doesn't realise that he's not as fast as he used to be. I think he sets himself up sometimes for a foot race that he can't win. Whereas
that is hard when you get older.
Your
mind still works exactly
but
the same.
That's what I mean. That's not a. That's just something that is. That's something that he's going to have to figure out. And yeah, the manager has to look at things and say, how can we? If a manager will always have circumstances where he'll look at the situation and go, how do we move on in this? How do we change things in a game if this scenario happens or that scenario? You have to have plans, don't you, for every scenario of a game? Of course you do. So, and I think he will. I think he will have that. And one of those scenarios might be what we saw on the Sunday night, which was move Iwobi over, bring Garner on, and ask Iwobi to push as high as he can with that energy, and that then you had Dwight McNeil playing inside and floating those inward passes in. So that might be, possibly.
Yeah, it's you're trying to solve things, aren't you? And it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you're looking at the best way to do things, and you've lost Seamus Coleman's still decent 1v1, but he, like you just said, he's not quite the same as he's not quite the same as what he was, because he can't be. your age catches up with you, the way it is. Where are we? The Blue says Guys Gordon is one of our highest players for pressures. He's definitely not lazy.
Is that still the case?
He is on the 96th percentile for pressures.
Is that this season?
Yeah. But I'll give you some other stats. He's on the 28th percentile for progressive carries with the ball, which is what his big thing is. The 21st percentile for progressive passes. He's on the 10th percentile for assists. Expected assist 14th percentile. Shot creating actions 31%. So yeah, he's not amazing, let's be honest. But running around, I can do. Damari Gray, you'd say, does he press really well? No, doesn't. He does about 13 presses a game, I think. Anthony Gordon does about 24 presses a game.
Shooting is okay, helped by his 2 goals. His XG per shot is poor. Creativity and involvement in goal build-up is very underwhelming. Negated slightly by lack of a striker, but still. Crossing and balls into the box poor again. Could that be because of the striker? Carrying decent to good. Defensive, tries hard but doesn't win the ball back a lot. And that's a scout report.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, I've got all that other data now. He doesn't show up brilliantly in all that data. But I'm not even talking about that, because you can run around and work hard without it.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes it doesn't show up in what you're doing. So yeah, let's just see what happens. Let's see him doing whatever. Where are we? Where are you? Yeah. Liam says, new song for Coleman. My mind is telling me no, but my body's telling me yes.
Yeah, I don't think you're strictly allowed to say those words anymore.
My mind is telling me yes, but my body's telling me no. I think would be more accurate, wouldn't it?
She said yes.
I love this when people go, who cares if we're better than last season? We can't get much worse than last season. Stop mentioning we're better than last season. It was part of a conversation, mate. It was part of a conversation. So listen to the conversation when it's getting read out. We're still miles away from where we should be.
Where should we be?
Where should we be? Where I want Everton to be. Yeah, we're miles away from where I want Everton to be. People don't.
Where should we be though? I'll never understand where we should be. Where should Brighton be?
League Two.
Exactly, that's that's a problem. That's a thing, isn't it? That's a thing based on who they are.
Where Everton should be really is, with the money they've spent, is way higher than where
should
they
it
are.
though? Because all those players we paid all that money for have gone. So really,
but we should have, the team should have been elevated.
No, I know, but no one's got.
Although when I say that, like I say it, and John, if you're pointing Harrington out to me, Ned, that's been on the news for 3 days. The deal's already been agreed. But thank you, and I will mention it again now. David Harrington from Cork City, Everton, saying the Independent reporting Everton are interested. Irish press are reporting that it's already done for €100,000. He'll join in January. So there you go. When I was mentioning the money and where we should be, I've been shot down by a couple of financial people saying, yeah, but Everton's wage bill is miles behind where you think they should be. So, like, Liverpool just double Everton's wage bill.
I just don't.
So there's no hard to get up.
I just, to me, where people think anyone should be comes down to what they do and how they do it. And there's this idea of what you should be, to me, is based for Everton is based on 30-year-old assumptions, not anything.
Yeah, but people will have a perception, won't they?
Perception doesn't win you anything.
No, I know, but people can still. I don't think a fan would never turn around and go, I don't think we should be anywhere near the top half of the. I don't think.
Maybe a few people should do that. Maybe it should be a little bit more of a realisation.
But if Everton did, would we not then be just going? Well, that's where that comes in.
No, because ultimately, that if there was bit more realism on understanding where the game is fundamentally, not what we are as a football club. We just spoke about it. Spurs could be potentially signing a 25-year deal with Google for 1.5 billion, which will eclipse the record of a stadium.
Is that going to happen though?
There's a very good chance it will. It wouldn't have got out otherwise. I've just looked. The stadium we visited in the summer, Minnesota Vikings stadium, amazing stadium, wasn't it? They've got a $220 million deal with US Bank. For the same time period. Okay, different sports, but that just shows you. I mean, I'm sure I'll have a look for other ones. The one in LA might be a bit higher, but that tells me everything. Spurs have not won a tap for 10 for the 10-year period that they've run away from us. They've got a great kit deal, a great sponsor deal, training ground probably sponsor. They haven't done anything bar finish in the top 4 and get to a Champions League final. They haven't done anything. They haven't done anything. The advantage of having a lad play for them who's really, really good, and he's England captain. And they've brought in managers who are big names, and they've finished in and around the top 4 for the last 10 years. Their history isn't a tap in terms of leagues for FA Cups, but it's, in terms of leagues 2 against 9, none of it matters. None of it matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in terms of who you are or what you've done anymore, or how many your best striker scored against the other fella's best striker in their history. None of it matters. It's where you are right now and how people perceive you. And people perceive us as a club where I bet you there's a lot of people who don't even know what city Everton are from. They just see the word Everton and go, where's that? In terms of the world market. But that's what Spurs were like. But people know exactly where Spurs are now, because the way they've marketed themselves and the way they've projected themselves. These are things that our football club won't even take ownership of the fact that it's from Liverpool. That it won't even take ownership. And this is what we have done in the last 25 years as a football club. We've dumbed ourselves down to a point where we are right now. And yes, we've got an amazing history, but sometimes you have to take a step back and go, what are we doing? What are we doing as a football club? Hopefully that all changes when the stadium gets built and something you can go, that's where it is, that's where we are, this is who we are.
Yeah.
But there's too much of this thing of like, this is who we are. It's like, we know who we are, but the rest of the world doesn't. And there's only one way to change that, and that's being, you know, that's number one, getting a better football team.
Yeah.
Spending money better, getting better players on the pitch, and it all rolling on from there. But none of this washes with me. Everton had a great, one of the big, none of it washes at all anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's just not how the world works. Not football, the world. The biggest celebrities in the world aren't people who actually do anything anymore. They're just people who what PR wants you to see, or you know what I mean. You've got families who just do reality TV, and they are the biggest names in the world. It's just we live in a very strange world now, and I don't think
it's just changed, hasn't it?
I don't think we as a club have quite ever understood that properly. You need to puff out your chest, don't you? You know, say something we say all the time. We can't just live on our past. We have to get into the present. But we've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right, last few. Carla says, how can you look at the team now and think we haven't improved? Did he watch the second half? This is the Dick's thing. Did he watch the second half of last season? Everyone's pulling together. You can see the players are all in with Lampard. The atmosphere around the club feels different now. Rob says, does Dick actually watch Everton? Brad says, with Gordon, I think it's a case of can we afford to wait? He's got all the potential in the world and may not well come to realise it, but really, can we afford to wait 2 or 3 years on him? We might bring someone in to play in front of him on the team sheet for just that reason. If we don't move him on, then we decide that we're willing to wait. Yeah, fair play. I think he does need, you do have to have a few thingies with him. You have to give him a little bit of leeway, but by the same token, we need players that are performing and do well. So we'll see. Ruben de Souza says Spurs stadium seats fitted with Google Assistant.
Yeah, see, no, it wouldn't surprise you, would it? Would not surprise you.
The Blue says Gordon's never going to get double figures for us. Richie managed that because he was a striker who had the work rate to defend. Anthony Osmond says we are right where we should be with our inept handling over the last 6 years. If handled correctly, we could be top 4. Now we start again. Also, let's call the new stadium Everton Stadium. Promote us and our brand.
Yeah, it's different though, isn't it? As I said, I've said on
money though, isn't it?
I've said a few times.
Really, Anthony.
Yeah, I've said a few times. Spurs have advertised themselves brilliantly and got that name out there, and probably the fact that they can ask Google for that kind of money is because Google, being Google, can analyse the data of how many times Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is, and this probably comes into it as well, by the way. They've probably analysed the data of how many times Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is Googled, quite literally. It's an inside job, isn't it? Basically, they can follow the data and go, is this worth? And they've gone, yeah, oh my God, there's people everywhere wanting to know what Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, what it is, who's playing there, what the NFL game is this week, who plays there normally, blah blah blah. And they've gone, that could be our name. People could be asking those questions about us, and that's all it is. That's all that advertising is, isn't it? Essentially, you're choosing your data. They've got the data, but Tottenham that's where they've probably been very, very clever. There's probably probably clever people out there who have gone, well, for 2 years it is advertised, but it's advertised by Tottenham, because the football fans, we don't need any. We've got the knowledge, but NFL fans go, where are they playing? Tottenham Hotspur. What's a Tottenham Hotspur? That's the question.
No,
it is,
it is.
What's a Tottenham Hotspur? Google it.
What is a Tottenham Hotspur?
Exactly. There you go.
It's a great question.
I don't know anyone who can answer that.
No, I don't think anyone can. Right, that is just done. Hit the like button on the way out. Thank you. Check out the 1878 FM podcast. It is on there now. Subscribe if you haven't, and for all you YouTubers, we will see you next week. For our Premier members, we'll see you tomorrow.
Will we see them next week?
Yes, we probably will. See you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye.